Socialism. Um, all right, so I'm an African internationalist, which is a different concept than what everybody else is generally calling themselves. Pan-Africanist, culture nationalist, or whatever other kind of concept, New African, that's happened to be out there. And underneath African internationalists, you believe that all black people on this earth, on this planet, are one people, regardless of where you live, uh, what border, what you claim you call yourself, whether you're Nigerian or whether you Colombian or whether you Puerto Rican or whether you from Georgia, all African people. We are all African people wherever we are. And African internationalism explores a concept of class, whereas Pan Africanism does not. Um, the topics of class is a very important one because people want to say we're all black people, so we belong to the same tribe. We should work with them regardless of whether or not they are associated with a specific class. Because when you're in a class level, your interests are tied to may be tied to the interest of capitalism itself, and therefore you are an entity of that. So African internationalism, while it recognizes all African people as one, we understand we understand the concept of class and um, how that works to uh, betray the people in all instances. Anytime where an African felt like he can better himself by associating himself with a higher class or by associating himself with money or white people, he will betray his people. And so as an African internationalist, we align ourselves with the workers and poor peasants whose livelihood whose our livelihood depends on what they've done. That's African internationalism. Now I want to explore the concept of socialism underneath African internationalism. Um, because we recognize ourselves as one people wherever we are, we understand that whatever we do here in the United States, in Africa, in the Caribbean, in South America, wherever African people are, whatever we do to benefit and economically develop ourselves there will benefit the whole. So that means it's not about getting your whip and your car and your mansion and you living up in the hill in the Hamptons and you by yourself. No, our job as African people is to link to one another and join forces so that we can benefit ourselves as a whole. What we should be all doing is petitioning to get control over our resources from the richest landmass on the planet, which is Africa. How is it that we continue to live underneath, on top of, in between, squeaking around us, the greatest natural resources that power the entire planet, and we still get betrayed, because we addressed those class issues. And so as a socialist, um, a lot of us think that because you say you're a socialist, you're thinking about Stalin, you're thinking about Russia and the Cold War and all these dark images. But a brother that joined our party here in DC, he's from, I'm gonna get it wrong, I think he's from Senegal. He said, as an African born in Africa, socialism is a common theme. You cannot be an individual when you grow up in there. People, if you're starving, they will feed you. If you go to Africa and you're starving, they will feed you. They will come into your home. They will allow you in their home. And even if they have no food at all, whatever it is they give you. And so my example that I like to use is that you can't be in a village. You can't be in a community where you're the only person getting money and storing things for yourself, and then let's say you're a farmer, you harvest everything and put everything in your house, and you say, to get this you need to pay me 5 cents, and the community is starving. The community be like, what? Dude, just they will choke him out, throw him out of his house, and take his food, because that's not conducive to life. That's not conducive to living. That's conducive to destruction and death, because you want to gain while the rest of us die. And basically, that's what's happening. Now, I know previously when I had mentioned that, APDEP is a part of a socialist organization, people were just like, well, I like what you're doing, but you're a socialist. Ah. And I'm just like, and they would explain why socialism is bad, and they would point out, this one sister pointed out the healthcare reforms that are being done and some of the things that were being instituted with regard to the United States, and how that's bad. But I'm thinking of us as a whole people and not just within these borders of the United States, because understand this, I'm an African internationalist by birth. My parents are not from this place. They grew up here, but they are not from this place. So for me to claim these borders, I would have to claim their borders. And I don't want to do all of that. I just want to claim my African people wherever we are. Because that just makes more sense than to say that, well, I'm different from you because I'm from, Jamaica, or I'm different from you from Grenada, and I'm different from you because I'm from Nigeria, I'm different from you because I'm from the UK. That doesn't make sense because all our livelihoods are tied to one another. If we work together as a people, this is what APDEP is all about. If we work together as a people, there can be nothing but positivity coming out of that. Africans need to align themselves with our interests. Before there was integration, before was all these things that would tell you how great you are in comparison to the powerful white people, before was all those things, Africans were doing things for themselves. And it was wonderful. They had towns and shit that was doing way better than their white counterparts because there was that concept of socialist society where the whole takes care of the whole. You understand? It wasn't one person sprinkling their little bit of money and saying, I'm going to go give it to the orphans in the orphanage. No, because everybody's child belonged to the village. And so here we have the same concept. And so I really wanted to open up the conversation and just talk about socialism really in a true sense of the word. And as we understand, socialism is a loose interpretation. Anybody can take socialism and turn it into whatever there is. But if we align socialism to the African agenda, African internationalist agenda, it's about we understand our conditions all over the world. And because and this might be hard for some of you, I just don't look at what's happening in this country. I can't. By nature, I have family in Venezuela, I have family in Grenada, I have family in Jamaica, I have family in Haiti, I have family in the UK. I'm an African internationalist all by myself. So I can't think about things in the concepts of the United States. I look at everything. And so when you look at everything, you have to know that in order to benefit and make us whole, the people in Grenada gotta stop importing all their fucking goods. And they need somebody in power that will stop that shit. I went to a store there and everything in the fucking store was imported. There was nothing Grenadian made in the stores in Grenada. So these are the things we have to be able to take back what is ours and produce for ourselves, or else we are continue to be slaves. And socialism is a way to do that. Socialism is a way to say what's in our best interest, how we can benefit ourselves, how we can profit off of ourselves, how we can make us better, and then we'll think about everybody else later. But our focus cannot be everybody and trying to get their investments. We have to invest in ourselves. Africans are the biggest consumers. I don't care where you are, we consume so much. We have to be the biggest producers. We have to be the biggest manufacturers. We have to be able to do all these things for ourselves and make sure that we have enough for us first. And that's the only way that we can do that is through socialism and addressing our material interests and dealing with those things that really affect us and make us a better people. So it's not just about saying you want to unify, it's about what ways are you going to take to unify. And we have to explore all aspects in terms of politics, development, economics. All of these things have to be things that we address when we're talking about socialism. So that's my take on it. I'm going to open it up to everyone else and see what you have to say. So I hope that you guys had a happy new year. I realized I didn't make a video after that. And yeah, just have a good week. Onyx Isis.